Hello guys. So today we will discuss about what is cloud computing and what are the cloud models. So this is the first class for cloud security. So we will start with the introduction of cloud computing and the cloud models. So let me share the screen. So whatever it is, I will be typing here. So yeah, the first thing what you should understand is what is cloud computing is. Okay. So if I have to talk about cloud computing, okay. So the thing is, uh, okay, today we are going everything is moving towards cloud. It means I'll tell you the definition part. Cloud computing. The cloud computing is like a delivery of computing services. So delivery of computing services. So like computing services as servers and storage, database, databases, and networking, software, like we have different services are available. So these are all the services you can rent, okay, over the internet or over the cloud. So instead of, let's say you have to start your own company. So to start your company, you should have a proper building and you should hire employees. You should have infrastructure such as you have to buy the laptops, computers, and you have to have a servers. For that, we need to have a server rooms, and you should have a proper electricity, internet, and cooling system and everything. Okay. So to establish your own company or to start your own company, it will incur a lot of cost, right? So instead of your building everything from your end or from scratch, you can rent it. So to have a, if you want to, if you need a server, you don't have to buy the server. You don't need to have a build a server room. You can simply rent it from the cloud providers. So who are the cloud providers that I will discuss? So before that, I'll give one more example. Let's say you want to use electricity in your home. So for using electricity, are you, creating electricity or are you what I can say? Are you doing everything to create that electricity for your home? No, right? You just need to, what you can do, you are just renting it out. You are using the electricity, okay? So you don't have to build any power station at home, right? So similarly, as you are using the electricity from the maybe government or any private player, same way, you don't buy the server. You don't have to buy the servers. Okay, you can rent it whenever you need it or whatever the capacity you need it. Okay, so there are multiple benefits of cloud computing. Okay, if I have to talk about the benefits of cloud computing is, so you should excuse me for my spellings. Okay, yeah, the thing is, the benefits are like, These are on demand. On demand means whatever you want to use, you can use it as per your requirement. It is available. You just, okay. Second one is pay as you go. Okay. So pay as you go. What does it mean? See, you don't have to pay a lot of amount in the starting itself. How much you are using, as per that, you need to pay. Example, you want a server with a capacity of like, okay, certain X capacity. You just need to pay for that. Tomorrow you need 5 servers. So you can pay for only 5 servers. So whereas in the traditional model or like in on-prem means on-premises. So if you're buying a server, the server is having certain capacity. Let's assume it is having a capacity of, okay, 10,000 or sorry, 10 lakh requests per day. But now you paid some money and you bought that server, you installed that server in your building or in your company. But every day 10 lakh people are not requesting or not using that server. Then unnecessarily you are paying too much cost. Or in few days, if the number is might cross 10 lakh requests. In that scenario, server will not be available. Server will go on it will maybe server is unavailable like that. Okay. So it is crossing its capacity. But here, the server is whatever the servers we are using, like, example, we call EC2. EC2 in AWS basically. Okay. So EC2 means Elastic Compute Cloud, which is scalable. Okay. And so what I'm trying to say is in cloud computing, whatever we are using. So there is another benefit of cloud computing is elasticity. Now, what does it mean? Elasticity means, so same example which I was telling earlier. Let's say in AWS. AWS is a cloud provider. Okay, public cloud provider, one of the big public cloud provider. In AWS, we have EC2. Okay, EC2 means Elastic Compute Cloud is a virtual server. So which is you can scale it up or you can scale it down. Okay, scale up, scale down. So what does it mean? The capacity will increase as per your requirement. If you want to increase the capacity it will be increased. Or if you want to use only limited, then you can use only limited part of that server. So whatever you're using, as per that you need to pay. You don't have to pay extra amount. And global reach. So if I have to talk about global reach means, so okay, when we will be discussing about AWS, then I'll be talking about, like, there are something called AWS regions, AWS availability zones, and in AWS, edge locations. So we'll talk about it in future classes. So the thing is, you can place your servers in multiple locations or multiple regions. So it is so that it will be easily available, or it can respond quickly. So these are multiple benefits of cloud computing. Now, if I have to talk about, so I have to go to the different parts. Okay, what is cloud services? Okay, cloud deployment models. Before that, I'd like to tell there are big cloud providers. Okay, so example, for that we need to discuss cloud deployment models. So before discussing these cloud deployment models, I just want to tell you some examples of cloud providers are AWS, means Amazon Web Service, Microsoft Azure is one more cloud provider, GCP, Google Cloud Provider, Oracle Cloud Provider, Oracle Cloud, IBM Cloud. Like that, we have multiple cloud services or cloud providers are available. So yeah, the thing is there are multiple cloud providers are available. There is IBM Cloud also. Now these are the providers, the providers of the cloud services. Now we will discuss about cloud deployment model, cloud deployment models. Now what does it mean? In cloud deployment model, there are total four type of models we have. One is public cloud model, and then we have private cloud model, private deployment model basically. Public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud. And there is one more thing is multi-cloud. Okay, so let's talk about one by one. What is public cloud? Public cloud is the examples of public cloud are like AWS, Azure, which is a Microsoft Azure, and GCP. So why we call it as a public cloud? Because this is owned by AWS, and the services are like I mean it is a shared infrastructure. Okay. So just give me a minute, guys. So if I have to discuss about the cloud deployment models, so first let me tell you, like one thing I forgot to discuss here. The cloud deployment model generally, it describes where your cloud infrastructure is and who has the control over it. Okay, so the thing is, there are multiple cloud providers. So the cloud deployment model will discuss about like where we are you know where we are deploying our cloud infrastructure and who has the control. So uh, example, if I talk about private cloud, the example I have told you, like AWS, Azure, and GCP, it is owned and operated by third party provider. Like it is completely owned by and operated by Azure or AWS or GCP. Okay, because these are cloud providers. So let's say if I talk about AWS cloud, it is completely operated and owned by AWS only. Okay, so the resources example of the resources in it, like compute, which is like, EC2 storage, like S3, okay, or in Azure we call blob storage. We will discuss in future. So they are shared among multiple customers. Okay, so these are the services. These are the services are shared among multiple customers, or we call them tenants. Okay, now, so the customers access the service over the internet. So the thing is, let's say we are the customers, we want to use a server. So for that, I just need to log into AWS console over internet. So just to make you understand, okay, how it will look like. Okay, here I'll show in AWS. Just click on AWS. Click on this first link, which is Cloud Computing Services, AWS, Amazon Web Services. Click on it. You just need to create an account, or you need to, okay, if you have an account, you need to sign in, or otherwise you need to sign up for this. So after signing, okay, I have a account on it. So from here, we need to log in. And once you log in, then you're able to access the cloud resources offered by AWS. So here I am the customer, and AWS is the provider. Okay. So the best part of this public cloud is like, very cost effective, because no upfront investment in it, and it is scalable, and it is easy to get started, and less control over the physical security. Means that the physical security and everything is taken care by the provider here, which is AWS. Okay. So example, if I'll tell you Netflix, all of you are aware of Netflix, right? So that Netflix, which is running on AWS. Okay. AWS here is a public cloud. Okay. So Netflix is using AWS services or servers, or maybe any storage services or any computing services. And Netflix is paying money to AWS or Amazon. I mean, the owner of AWS is like, AWS is the parent company is Amazon here. So Netflix is paying to AWS, and AWS is storing their data. So which data? The data of any movies, videos, documentaries and all. Okay. So it is like you are renting a flat in a big apartment. Yeah. And in a very big apartment, you are renting one flat. Okay. So basically you share the building, but your space is your private, right? Means let's say you're taking a flat in any apartment. So like you, multiple people can take the different flats. So they all are using the flats from that apartment. But so different flats have as you have your own flat, you have your own private space. Okay. So that is regarding public cloud. Now, if I talk about private cloud, so the private cloud is exclusively used by one organization. It is exclusively used by one organization. Example, if I talk about there is one organization called Salesforce. Okay. So this organization, they have their own cloud. Means they are, to start your own company, generally we need to have a building, we need to buy the servers. Okay, we need to have a computers, we need to hire the employees, and we need to have a all the different infrastructure. So that is on-prem. On-prem means on premises. But what if you're thinking of storing some of your data into cloud? So for that, instead of you're taking a rent from any other provider, you can create your own cloud. Okay, like this, some of the organizations, they have created their own cloud, and in that cloud they are storing their data. Okay. So the thing is, because of this, it will give the full control over your infrastructure. security and compliance. Okay, so as it is your cloud, you have the complete authority, or you have the complete control over it. Okay, so let's say if you are storing few of the your data, or maybe your servers, or maybe your database servers in, let's say in previous example, Netflix is storing the data in AWS. So here the responsibility is shared between AWS and Netflix to secure their data. It is not only Netflix's responsibility, or it is not only AWS's responsibility. So the control is not only into Netflix in public cloud model, but in private cloud deployment model, you have the complete control over your infrastructure. Okay, so high security you will have, you can have the customization. But yeah, one more thing is like, it will cost more money, means more expensive to build and maintain. Okay, so it is generally best for highly regulated, I mean best for the industries which are highly regulated, like financial institutes like banks, fintech, and healthcare institutes like that. Okay, so or any government agency which is running its own private cloud within the data set like that. Okay, example is SBI. Okay, and now the third one is hybrid cloud. In hybrid cloud, so it combines public and private cloud environment. Okay, it will enable the organizations to run some of their services, which we call it as workloads or servers or storage service or databases in public cloud, and other are in their private cloud. So you can host few of the services in your cloud, which is owned by your company, your own cloud, and you can host some of the services or resources in public cloud as per your requirement, your budget. Okay, as per your need. Okay, so that is hybrid. And the best part about hybrid cloud is like flexible, and it is balanced, useful for any, generally I mean generally we will have a good security and scalability. Okay, so yeah, so let's say if I have to tell you one example of this hybrid cloud. So any hospital, just they want to keep their patients data, okay, in private cloud for security, but runs on public facing app or AWS. Like it is like you are living in a duplex. Okay, if I have to give you a real world example, you own a part of it and rent. I mean, you'll give it on rent the rest of the, means you have your own duplex. Okay, in that you are staying in one or two rooms, and the remaining rooms is given for rent. So you control what is important for you, but also use the shared services, like, so that is public cloud, sorry, hybrid cloud. And then we have multi-cloud. In multi-cloud, the thing is using multiple public cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and GCP. Okay, so the reason is like, example, if I have to tell you Airbnb is the organization which uses AWS and GCP. Okay, so any financial firm you use AWS for analytics, okay, and Azure for Microsoft services, and GCP for AI and ML model. Okay, so it is like you are having a multiple bank accounts. Okay, you spread your risk, but it takes more effort to manage them. Okay, so that is a real world example. So that is regarding cloud deployment model. And then we have cloud service models. Okay, so I'll write it in capital letters: cloud service models. Okay, so the cloud service model is like, which will explain what level of control and the responsibility you have over your IT infrastructure. Okay, let me repeat. The IT service, like, this cloud service model will explain at what level, okay, to what level you will have the control and the responsibility of your IT infrastructure. Example, so the cloud model we have, the first one, IaaS. IaaS means infrastructure as a service. Okay, infrastructure as a service. And then PaaS, platform as a service. Okay, are you following me? Yeah. So in platform as a service, and the one more thing is software as a service, which is SaaS. Software as a service. Okay, let me talk one by one. Let me elaborate what is IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service. So the thing is, in AWS, which is infrastructure as a service, you get virtualized hardware. Means, example, virtualized hardware as in like, I'll tell you with a real time, real world example. So you are renting a flat which is completely empty. Means just you're only renting one flat, and after renting you can put your own things like whatever you want to keep, like you can install the TV, you can install fridge, you can install like water purifier or bed, whatsoever. That is your wish where you want to keep. In that, it is like empty flat. Okay, so in cloud computing perspective, you will be getting example one EC2 instance, which is a server. So one server, we call it as EC2 in AWS. Okay, EC2 means Elastic Compute Cloud in AWS. Or if I have to talk in Azure, we call them as VM, virtual machines. Okay, so they are like, the services which are, the resources which they have been given to you, you can do whatever you want. Like if you are renting EC2, which is a server, you can install your apps in it, you can host any website in it. That is your wish. Okay, and there are some storage services also, like S3 bucket. S3 bucket in AWS, which is a storage service. So you can store anything, you can upload, you can download, you can whatever you want to do. That is your wish. Okay, so we have to install and we have to manage our own operating system in it, applications in it, and we have to secure them also. I'll repeat. So let's say you are renting EC2, which is a IaaS product, which is infrastructure as a service, which is like an empty empty flat, where you can install, where you have to install your own OS operating system, you have to install your own like applications, and you have to secure them also. So that is okay. That is one example of infrastructure as a service, and then we have platform as a service. In platform as a service, the cloud provider, who is the provider here, either AWS, Azure, or GCP. So the cloud provider will give the pre-configured platform to develop and deploy the applications. So the provider will give the pre-configured platform. Like you are renting a furnished flat or semi-furnished flat, you can say. Okay, so you are renting a semi-furnished flat in any apartment. Okay, so most of the things is provided by the building owner itself. What you need to keep, you need to keep your own things and you need to secure them. So if I have to compare with this, correlate with this cloud computing perspective. So first I'll tell you the example. In AWS, we call AWS Elastic Beam. Elastic Beanstalk. In Google, we have Google App Engine. In Azure, we have Azure App Services. So these are all examples of platform as a service. Okay. So the thing is, it is like, as I was saying, it is like a furnished apartment. You just bring your luggage or you just start living like that. You manage your code. Okay. And the provider will manage entire environment. So you need to just manage your code in it. You can run your code and you can start working, or maybe you can you just need to write your code, manage your code, and as per that you can use your application softwares and you can run your business. So that is one example of PaaS. And then the software as a service, which is SaaS, it is like fully functional, or how can I say, you are renting a hotel room. If you are going to hotel room, everything will be provided by the hotel, or right, the room, and it is fully furnished. Even the food also they'll be providing, right, in most of the cases. Okay, so like that, everything is provided by the provider itself. Okay, the exam, if I have to compare with the cloud computing, so the examples are like, Gmail. You're using a Gmail application, or you are using a Zoom application, or you are using any maybe Chat GPT also, right? Or you are using, what I can say, any Dropbox, Google Drive. Okay, so Google Drive. See, the thing is, the app is created by the provider. The app is maintained by the provider. Okay, so almost everything is done by the provider. You just need to create your account, and you can send a mail, receive a mail. You can send any documents. You can send any videos or audios like that. Okay, so everything, the updates, the security part of Gmail or Google Drive, everything is taken care by the provider only. Okay, so it is like you are just managing your data inside, which is like data as in your passwords, your key, your important files. Like if I have to correlate with this hotel room, everything is provided by the hotel. You just need to manage your keys. It is like you have to lock the key when you are going outside, and you need to keep the key with you securely. Okay, it is like a SaaS. So the thing is, if I have to tell you, okay, I'll tell you one by one. So these are different cloud, service. These are cloud service models. Okay, so if I have to summarize, okay, in AWS, which is infrastructure as a service. Okay, so the infrastructure, everything is taken care by the provider, and the provider has a high control over it, right? Because they are maintaining almost everything. So sorry. The thing is, AWS. In AWS, the infrastructure is only taken care by provider. Remaining everything is maintained and managed by a customer. And in PaaS, so they are giving not only infrastructure, they are giving a platform also, like infrastructure, giving a pre-configured softwares and all. So the example I have told you, Azure App Service. So in SaaS, they are fully delivering the software, full software delivery. Okay, so like Gmail and Dropbox. Okay, so like this, these are all different service models. And if I have to talk again about deployment model, like public cloud, the cloud providers network. Private cloud is customers owned, means every company has their own network, which is, I mean, the customer or whosoever built that have the control over it. And then the hybrid cloud is mix of public and private. And then multi-cloud is like multiple cloud vendors, like, I mean, any services, or like example, Airbnb, Flipkart, they are using multi-cloud. Okay, they have hosted some of the server resources in AWS, some of the resources in Azure. Okay, so this is how. So what we have discussed is, like, what is cloud computing, what are the cloud service models, right? And then one more thing is cloud deployment model. So with this, we will end the session for today, and we'll discuss the remaining things tomorrow. So yeah, thank you.